Hello, everybody. We are live again for another episode of Surviving Life or Surviving Quarantine by Spreading Life. Sorry about that. I am so blessed today to have Lori with us. Lori is somebody that I have met again in the LinkedIn world. LinkedIn's been a great connector lately for me to find experts in the field that can talk about things that we need to hear, in my opinion. So I will say during this time, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share, as our continued goal is to bring positivity to your newsfeed while giving you expert advice that you can use for now or in the future. So let's just go ahead and get in and get started with it. Hello, Lori. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. So, do you want me to just go ahead and tell you what I do? Okay. All right. I'm Lori Knudsen, and I'm a career coach and consultant, and I work with corporate teams and help with employee engagement and corporate culture, team building. And then I also work with individuals and help them gain clarity on who they are and what they do best to equip them to make better career and life choices. So I know that there's a lot of people right now that are probably in that quandary of like, what do I want to do when I grow up?
Yes. And that's one thing that I want to come and talk to you about, because a lot of people are in that transition. And I was talking with you prior, but one of the things that was said, I heard the other day, was maybe this furlough, or if you're furloughed, or if you are laid off right now, this may be the only way that you could have ever got away from your job. And it was something that you needed, but you just couldn't step away. So what advice would you say, or what would you give to people that are kind of scared in this moment or nervous?
Mm-hmm. Nervous in as far as being unemployed or going back to work, or both?
Just that transition, that aspect of the unknown.
Okay. Sure. It's, I think everybody kind of had their own little mourning period with shock, and that's natural. But during this time, use it as a gift to really try to get clear on what you want to do. Or if you still want to, love what you do, really look at your skill set and see if you can be taking a course online, upskilling. What can you do to make yourself stand out and marketable? And this is something we have to do our entire career. And there's so many resources out there now that are being offered for free. So there's no better time, because they're not going to be free forever. But I just recommend really taking advantage of that, because that's probably going to be an interview question. It's like, how were you impacted by COVID-19? What did you do during that time? I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying you spent time with your family, but if you can say, well, I really figured out that I want to do this, so I took a class, or I did a online course through the library, which is free. Check your local library, because they have like the LinkedIn Learning or lynda.com. It's very similar. So you can do courses and get ready for a certification even. But yeah, just taking advantage and really taking stock of your life in general. Mm-hmm. and just kind of embracing the time to figure things out, because like you said, we've never had a time where in essence the world is stopped. I mean, I realize not everybody, because we have got, I'm so thankful for the healthcare workers and all the essential workers are out there that are keeping the world going, but it's surreal. And it's just, if you would have told me like back in January or February, even, that we would just be like, when I first got groceries, I thought, okay, just in case for 2 weeks, in case we get sick and can't go out. That was like everybody's mentality. And here we are in our 9th or 10th week. I mean, I lose track sometimes, but it's definitely unprecedented.
I'll give you that for sure. And that's the thing, is that how do you know when to transition?
I guess, a couple of questions to ask yourself or look at from it. Feel like hesitant, say that you're don't necessarily want to go back to that role, or maybe you were downsized for that one, you're looking for a new one, furloughed. That look at all of the roles that you've held and think about what made you the happiest in each and every role and what you didn't like. And so that's something that you can do for free. You don't have to work with a coach for that. And then take notes of those things and look for the patterns in what, when you're really kind of lit up and, you feel good and you're energized, what were you doing during those times? Were you working with people? Were you working on a process? Were you, in a big collaboration or off by yourself? And so this will kind of help you discover first what environments you really want, what type of work. Like if you manage, we're a manager, some managers don't want to manage people. They might want to lead a project, and manage a process, but not people. So it's asking yourself questions like that and thinking about the skills that you really enjoy doing or don't mind doing, and then the ones that you find yourself procrastinating that drain you. Those are your burnout skills. And we all have them. We all have things, even in the perfect job, the dream job. There's probably something that you don't want to do, but if it's possible, ideally, you don't go for roles that is comprised of 20% or more of burnout skills. You want to keep that to a lower, amount. And that way you can really focus on the skills that you enjoy doing and then working within your strengths. I mean, that's an added bonus.
I think the beauty of that too is as I reflect on my transitions, the times that I've transitioned from jobs or life or whatever it may be, it's one important key that happened every time is self-awareness, to know that it was time to transition. And I think that is one thing that it may give at this time period, is that moment to pause, to be self-aware. So what advice would you give so people can be that self-awareness and its importance?
Self-awareness it's huge, because in fact, there's a study by Green Peak Partners that was talking about leadership, and they said the number one predictor of success is self-awareness. Now, I probably reversed the wording slightly on that, but that's the essence of it. So the most impactful thing that you can do is know yourself. You know what you do well, you know where your limitations are and where you're not as strong. And successful people do that, so that they're able to work in their strengths and their zone of genius, and try to avoid those areas where they're not good, and also are accountable for it, because you have to really own who you are and just accept, like, okay, I can't sing, but it's just like, a little bit, but I'm not going to sing. Don't worry.
I can't sing either, so don't worry.
Don't want to. No, I missed that gene. I was genetically betrayed. But anyways, it's you just have to play to your strengths and really own and identify it. And this is a great time, because that's one of the biggest pillar of emotional intelligence too, is having self-awareness. Because when you have self-awareness, you are able to catch yourself from reacting to a situation. Now, nobody's perfect. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, I always do that, I never get upset or anything. It's not true, but how you respond, it's kind of like, just pause, reflect, reframe, and think about what it is or why you're upset about that, because maybe it's more about you and something that you feel insecure about. So there's so many different facets to self-awareness, from just like knowing yourself, but understanding what drives you, what triggers you, and making that choice of how you respond is really, what companies and, relationships, no matter where you are, that is just going to set you apart.
I agree. And I think the one thing that comes with that is values and looking at values and their importance of it. So, most conflicts actually come from values. It's 9 times out of 10. So I do have one question from Maria here. I don't know if it will all pop up or not. I should just read it.
Okay.
Our organization closed, and so we are kind of in a pause mode to whether we will have a future job or not. This does not scare one, although I feel she is big on faith, so she trusts God that he will supply the next job. I sometimes ponder on the thought to take whatever, even though my heart is in the serving business. Okay, so this is one right here. I'm just gonna pause. You do not need to be a warm body. Don't just be a warm body. And the importance of you will go mentally. It can be for a short season, I will say, if it is, but you're going to have to connect it with a value. But whatever, even though my heart is serving business, encouraging people, helping build bridge in a gap of healthcare advocate. I know her. She is a big time advocate for helping people, especially that do not have the income to be able to have health services, and has been an amazing help for our region. So what is the advice you would give here? Should one go for anything just to have a job?
I believe that when you understand what you do best and you have clarity on that, it helps you avoid wasting time applying for roles that are not a good fit. With that said, sometimes we have to take those in-between jobs, but don't get comfortable there, because you, as you said, you're not going to be happy. And this is where values really comes in. And so things that I was hearing when you were reading that off, and I was trying to retain and digest that, but serving others and making a difference, helping the community. And so she's community minded and healthcare and supporting people. So really looking for those types of roles. Now, could you find like a retail job temporarily that is in support of others or helping people? Sure. You have to look at that, because values, as you brought up, that is one of the most overlooked components in a job search. So that's a component of my coaching, is we go through your top 10 values and have you rank them. And they're defined by you, because everybody has different, like there's similarities in some people, but what freedom might mean to me is going to mean something different, to someone else, or stability, or some of the other ones are one of hers. I would really search out and go on Indeed.com. I don't know what her role was exactly, but if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn and just say we're on the broadcast and send me a connection request, we can talk, and I can try to give you some suggestions. Indeed.com is a great place to search and look at job descriptions, because then you can kind of look at your experience. You can look at what they're asking for, and then you can role map it. And by role map, you go line by line of that job description. And if you can answer and meet those, or you can speak to it on your resume or your job experience, then that's a good fit. Now, sometimes they want like a purple unicorn and there's just nothing, but that's where networking comes in. And, sometimes there's workarounds for that, because people just kind of think of like, if the dream person, what would they look like? Or if I had my dream home, it would have this, this, and this. But most people don't always have those, or they can check every box, but they have no self-awareness, or they have, they're just not good at it. It's like in sales, people can have all the qualifications, but maybe they're just not really a good salesperson. Maybe they were in a territory previously where they kind of got lucky. I mean, there's a lot of different variables that can play into that. So, fitting all the qualifications is a good thing, but it may not necessarily mean the best candidate either. But unfortunately, a lot of companies still, go through that.
Yeah, and I'll give the example of my case. So I left being one of the top at an engineering and building firm in the textile industry to go to be a secretary with a master's degree. But I went from working with technology and working with engineering and machines to getting to, I knew I was going to eventually get to work with people. So I had to work my way up. And I knew that was an aspect of it. And I think in the process, there's a twofold of that is whenever you work your way up, people in the same company, I've found at times that people do see you as that baby and they raised you, even though you had the qualifications and you've done it prior in other areas. So there's a twofold. And then also be careful in that transition. If you're going to find a spot, my thing is I get connected with people very quickly. And so it made it difficult for me to move on per se in some of those times. And I know Maria said she's a community health worker. She has a big heart. And so the love of people and the encouraging, there is a spot and there will be a place for you. But again, if you have to go, if you be overqualified for whatever it may be. And I would suggest do that other than be finding something that's just a warm body. Any other thing any other questions or comments? These are great. Continue to put them on for us. One more question I have for you, Lori, is in these transitions, in these aspects of transitions. Again, I'm going back to my personal experience. Whenever I transitioned, it was hard because I connect with people. And I love people. And it's also the fear aspect that people have. So there was a lot I felt at the beginning was against me. But somebody said, I can never do that. I can never go out. And I'm like, why? Why couldn't you? So what are some big fears that need to be addressed in the transition process?
I think the biggest fear, first and foremost, is our comfort zone. Used to doing what we've been doing, even if we're not we kind of know it's time to move on, or we feel that something's missing, and whether we're not being challenged or it's a values issue, but we're scared because what if, what if I leave? What if what if it doesn't work out? And, giving up this to move to something else. And I was that person. I mean, I stayed at one position far too long. And I can tell you that it is a little scary, but it's also exciting because you don't grow when you're in your comfort zone. And I know that sounds cliche, but when you really take that step, and just like someone said to you, they're like, oh, I could never do that. So we're hesitant, but other people are looking at you going, yeah, you go, you can do this. And it's really just taking that leap and being brave, being courageous, and knowing that there is something better for you, and then making a plan. I'm not one of those that it's like, you don't like your job, quit your job today and you'll be fine. No, don't do that. If you don't have a job, then we'll work from there. But no, I'm always like, let's make a plan, because one of my lead strengths is responsibility. So I don't want anybody going, yeah, I just quit my job because you said to. No, I did not. Let's be very clear. So I think when you can make a plan and you're confident on the direction, having clarity and knowing where you want to be, then you're in the driver's seat. And I think that's hopefully another thing that people walk away from with all of this. And it doesn't imply that everybody has to be an entrepreneur or start their own business. You can be an entrepreneur within a company, but ultimately you have to drive your career, because if you think someone's just going to promote you, or you're working hard and you're doing everything right, you still have to be your own advocate, because your career is the most important. It's important to you, and if you don't make it happen, nobody else is going to. I mean, there's rare exceptions where sometimes a mentor or someone who's a developer will take you under their wing, but you have to be your biggest advocate, which is hard because we're also our worst critic. So it's really learning to shut off that negative self-talk and having confidence.
And that's the thing, and knowing that whenever you're the driver, you're going to go over tons of speed bumps. You're going to feel like you're going off cliffs. So you're going to dive into the water, and that's the thing is too. Whenever you start these transitions, it's like you have all this momentum, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm going," and then it's like, just know that that's how it's going to be. But it's okay as long as you keep persistency and grit, like. 1, 2, you have to be persistent with it and have grit and for me, my faith is big. So having faith for me has helped a heck of a lot to be able to continue to go and to find confidence in it, because these are things that transitions will really trial out your faith, your confidence, any insecurity you ever have had. Transitions will bring those to light. And so just knowing in the fact that you have value and you have worth. And again, going back to the beginning of what we were talking about is self-awareness and what to listen to, and if it's true and if it's valued. So I know that we are right at our time. I do want
to. Absolutely. Because you
oh, sorry, I cut you off, my bad. Continue.
What? No, that's fine. You were wrapping up.
No, I think we have a slight delay, but on this here. But I do want to say thank you to everybody that has listened in. I am so grateful for y'all. Thank you for your comments and your questions. As you know, that means a lot to me. And thank you, Lori, for coming on here and having such great content to help people in this transition process, because I think it's important, like what the key parts that you were talking about is like just transitioning, when to know, and doing something about it, and being also reach out to Lori. She's a great connection. LinkedIn, I know that your last name is spelled
K-N-U-D. Yeah, K-N-U-D-S-E-N. Lori Knudsen.
And I know it's on the if you're on Facebook or if you are on LinkedIn YouTube, you can be able to see her name. But reach out to her on
absolutely. Yeah, especially sometimes people are afraid to ask questions and they want to do it in private. So send me a message. It's completely fine.
Awesome. Well, I thank you. Thank you again, everybody. I hope you all have an awesome and blessed day, and see us tomorrow as we're talking with Brandon about time and money, and really talking about our resources and how do we deal with them. So it's going to be a great talk. Thank you again, everybody. Have an awesome and blessed